This is a Glass Box Media podcast.
Test and make sure everything's
testing.
still good.
Sound good?
Cool.
Everything looks good.
Cool.
It's like fucking 90 degrees outside.
I know, but it feels so good.
I know. I love it.
I'm
so
I
happy.
don't know. My body
Happy
is
November.
My body is very confused because I've been like extremely seasonal depressy.
Mm-hmm.
And the sun goes
same.
down at like fucking 5.
Yeah.
But it's 90 degrees outside. And I'm like, what's happening?
Right.
My body is so confused.
Somebody posted that I'm friends with on Facebook. It was like a meme, and it was like, I forgot how November is. How it like is. There is no afternoon in November. It just
No.
literally is daytime.
Now it's night.
And 2 o'clock,
Yeah.
it's night.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now it's nighttime. Yeah. And it's just so strange.
Yeah.
It feels very, very weird. Like we went to that soccer game last night, and by the time the soccer game was over, I was like, "What is it? Like midnight? It's like 9:30."
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
What's
I gotta
going
be up
on?
early tomorrow. It's only 8.
Yeah.
You're fine. Yeah. Ugh. I
Oh,
don't
plus
know.
Mercury being in retrograde too. It's
Has that
just like,
fucked your week up? I've
Yeah.
not noticed it too much.
No.
Oh, I
I've
was
just-
crying on the couch for no reason last week.
Yeah.
I was like
I've been-
crying.
I've been just sad sack. Yeah. This week has not been my favorite. It's
Me
not my
neither.
favorite.
And I can't quite put my finger on why. It's not like anything truly disastrous has happened. I've just felt like sad, like, just depressed for like no reason. I don't know.
Yeah, I know this time of year I tend to get reflective because it's
Starting to get in the holiday season.
the holiday season, it's the anniversary of everything. I get sometimes like this right before New Year's too, where it's like feels like, okay, well, what have you accomplished and that kind of thing. And so trying to be a little kinder to myself. I don't feel like I accomplished what I set out to this year, where I'm like,
Well, this year was
But-
also 0.2 seconds long.
Right.
I know.
This year
I
was
know.
the fastest year of all time.
It
Like,
Jesus, it
flew
really was.
by.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, I think that's part of my like is
But will
just being
you-
like, well, still here in this
but are you
space.
ever going to feel like, I feel like we're very similar in certain respects. And it's like, will you ever feel like you've accomplished what you want to accomplish? Because I always feel that way too. I feel that way. And I look back on this last year and I'm like, I left my job. I like started a new life for myself, essentially. We have an LLC. We have a business.
Right, yeah.
We've made strides.
Yeah.
A lot of strides. And it still feels like I didn't do enough.
Yeah,
And like, that's not true.
That's the script that I've had in my head though, like for as long as I can remember, even as a child, like not enough. That is a constant like battle against that voice in my head that I have is always like not enough.
Right.
Enough.
And so it's not that you
it's-
didn't do enough. It's that it's going to always be this kind of like, tape that gets played over and over.
Right.
And I posted that thing to our Facebook group where they were talking about, it never hit me until I read that and then I shared it, that I always felt like I didn't have enough to offer anybody. And so one of the things that I thought I could offer was being easy, as in like being like low maintenance,
Right.
and not ever needing too much or asking for too much or
Right.
being too demanding, and how actually damaging that is, and how damaging it is to like your self-worth and your self-esteem, and like what it can actually like do to you, and you have to undo that, and it's so hard to do.
Oh, I've 100% leaned on being a low maintenance girl.
Right.
A lot of my life. And
Well-
it really does stem from, somebody made a comment about like the triggering aspect of having abandonment issues, which I
Right.
100% do.
Yeah.
But when you're in your early 20s, in late teens and things, and you're heading into adult life, it's hard to recognize what that's stemming from. So you're just like, I just want to be the easy girl. You know what I mean?
It's that cool girl monologue from Gone Girl.
Yeah, that
which is
Amy
like,
Dunn.
yeah, it's is the best part of the book because it nails that perfectly. I feel like we've all kind of had to go through that when we're like, oh yeah, I'm the cool girl. I'm the
Well, I do feel like we've caved to these like societal pressures that tell us like if you are too demanding, you will be labeled high maintenance and unworthy of love, and people will leave you. You know, and I've always had that feeling where I'm just like, we have imposter syndrome where we think that we're not good enough, and then it's like, well, because I'm not good enough, I better not ask for anything ever,
Right?
Because that's my one redeeming quality is at least I'm not a pain in the ass. You know what I mean?
But see, and I've found now, like, okay, my part of the reason why my marriage ended was because of that, you know, because I
internalized
well,
that monologue
and also like it's being with people now and having boundaries and speaking my mind and being like, oh, I don't like that, you know, like I get a lot more respect, and guys are way more into me because I'm like, I have opinions, I have boundaries, I respect myself. Obviously, no one wants to be with like a doormat, and that's something that I had to learn. Like I had become such a doormat in my 20s, like, you know, and
you're taking
just
your
don't-
power back.
Yeah, you just don't respect someone like that. I didn't respect myself. And, you know, my partner ended up not respecting me because he knows that
He could see it.
Yeah.
Can't not see
Well,
it.
and I think we need to reframe, not to just keep talking about things that are in the Facebook group, although you should just join it and then you would know what we're talking about.
Yes.
But I also posted a thing where they were like, is when people call you intimidating, you have to reframe that as like, am I intimidating or are you intimidated?
Right.
And it changes, like it allows you to kind of like live in your power a little bit more. You know what I mean? And not like, it's not my business if you're intimidated by me, you know, like, sorry, you know?
Yeah. And my level of maintenance, quote unquote, has nothing to do with my value.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And our value isn't wrapped up into whatever quote unquote ideals you have for what a woman should or should not be.
And I shouldn't be grateful that I'm just getting attention from you either.
And
you know?
speaking of ideals of what a woman should be, I know that all three of us are fucking heated about that whole TI thing.
Wow.
Oh.
I want to inflict bodily harm on him because it is abuse, first of all.
And
It
the
is
internet is a
abuse.
wild place where people are defending him. It's so strange.
It's so gross.
What happened was T.I. was on a podcast recently, and the host of the podcast asked him if he had had the sex talk with his children. And he has an 18-year-old daughter, and he said, I've way more than had the sex talk with her. We go to the gyno every year together. And he said, we'll have our birthday celebrations. She'll open all of her gifts. And then the next day I'll put a Post-it note on her door that says gyno 9:30. And then we go to the gynecologist together. He explained that
I can't imagine my dad going to the gynecologist with me.
it's first of all
disgusting.
the gynecologist is already invasive. It's already uncomfortable.
Right.
You're already uncomfortable. And as somebody who grew up in purity culture, I had a purity ring. That level of anxiety, you already feel it about like your parents' disapproval or your community's disapproval about you possibly engaging in any kind of sexual activity. So the amount of anxiety it would cause to then have your dad take you in to have your hymen checked, which is unscientific in the first place and has absolutely
not how that works.
no value.
No.
And then
what is this? Like 1800s?
This is
medieval shit.
So crazy, yeah. And it makes me sad because I'm like, it's so crazy here. And it's happening. That kind of shit happens all over the world.
Well,
still.
the UN
in 20
actually
fucking 19.
Yeah, the
this
UN
shit happens.
last year actually put out a thing that said that that virginity testing, including mostly using fingers to check if your hymen is intact or not, is a human rights violation because of the amount of psychological damage and societal damage in some communities that it can do to young women, not to mention the fact that the doctor, this is the part that is so, well, there's a couple things that are deeply upsetting to me about this. There's
where's the list?
Here's the list for me.
Let me count the ways.
The doctor says to him, well, first of all, talks to the daughter and says, like, we need your permission to share this information with your father because she's 18. And it would violate HIPAA if she didn't sign a consent form to share the results with her dad. Her dad is right there.
Yeah.
And basically, he admits to saying to her, like, do you have anything to hide from me? Which is so fucking damaging coming from your parent. God. Because it's coercion. You're under duress, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So she allows him consent, which I don't think counts because you're under duress. And then the doctor does try to explain to him there are lots of ways that the hymen can get broken, and also you can engage in sexual intercourse and the hymen can remain intact. It's not a telltale, And he says, she doesn't ride any horses. She doesn't ride any bikes. She doesn't play any sports. Go get me my results.
Ugh.
Oh my God.
Which is so fucking gross. And then he announces to the whole fucking world something that is private medical information of his daughters. It's not his information to be saying, because he then comes out and says, as of her 18th birthday, her hymen is intact. And I'm proud of that, which is so gross.
It's so gross. So I have gone on a date in the past year with somebody that was close to 40 and was still a virgin. Not a turn on. Why are we fetishizing like virginity? Like I just don't.
To me, here's the thing. It's like,
it's not a fucking prize.
It's your business. First of all, purity culture and virginity culture, that entire thing I think is damaging. And it was damaging to me, I think, in a lot of ways. I understand having expectations for your children, but maybe have a conversation with them, develop that kind of respect that comes from having a conversation and treating your child like a person.
Yeah.
But whatever you decide to do, if you want to hold on to your virginity until you meet somebody that you feel like you want to share that with,
right,
that's fine. If you don't want to do that, that's fine.
Right.
Well, the more important conversation is, are you safe?
Yes.
Do you know what your boundaries are? That's what you should actually be concerned about. Because I'm sorry, T.I., you were fucking... this man cheated on his wife a bunch of times. Okay. I sincerely doubt he treats his sons this way.
And this is where I was about to go, because this is what really gets me lit up, is because the hypocrisy of the way that you treat your daughter versus how you would treat a son in this situation. It is a prize for your son to go out and get his dick wet any way possible, but heaven forbid your daughter has sex.
Yeah, and let me tell you, the biggest way that you can get me to do something is to fucking be like that about it. If I'm sorry, like I just like, I'm like, don't tell me what to do. We know that Keegan and I share that motto. Don't tell me what to do. And yeah, it's just like, have you no recollection of what it was to be a teenager? Right. To be like, if you make something so forbidden or so like wrong, I'm like, but
you know what?
Have to do that now.
As much as I am now, don't tell me what to do about fucking anything. And I was to a certain degree back then. I also wanted to please my parents so badly. Like, I wanted to make sure whatever I was doing. I cried when my mom found out that I'd had sex because she was disappointed in me. Aww. And it was awful because I wanted my parents to be proud of me, and I wanted to do what they wanted, because I wanted, to please them. Yeah. And so I can understand what that must feel like to be in that kind of like high anxiety situation.
That like
with
that
your
died
dad.
in me. I don't know what actually killed it, but that kind of died in me around like 15.
Oh yeah, I think mine was around 11.
Yeah.
Don't fucking tell me what to do.
Don't tell me what to do. Ugh.
No, that's punk kid.
Yeah.
My dad used to call me punk kid.
This is My Worst State podcast.
It is.
That
Yeah,
it
welcome.
is. Hi,
Hi, I'm Christina.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Cassie.
What's up?
Hey, what's
Glad
up?
you're here.
So, Cassie, Christina and I were kind of talking about, I mean, what we just talked about could probably also follow under this umbrella.
Okay.
But we were discussing that the internet is such a wild place and there's so much weird shit on it. And we should have a segment when it fits that is what the fuck. What the fuck news. So somebody
I love this already.
Yeah.
not to keep doing this, but somebody in our Facebook group shared this, and I feel like we need to discuss. You can, and I saw this a couple years ago, and I remember feeling like, what the fuck then? And then I blocked it out of my memory altogether. I was like, my brain was like, you don't need that information. Make way for the new season of Schitt's Creek. You
Yes.
don't need that. Throw that away.
Fucking love that show so much.
But you can have your loved one's ashes preserved in a glass vibrator. This is what it says. Okay. Have your loved one's ashes preserved in a glass vibrator and keep the intimacy alive even when your former spouse is not. This unique sex toy allows you to pack up to 21 grams of the dearly departed inside of it so you can enjoy their company every night.
I cannot with that.
I also don't
I
want to
think
pack
this
my
is
loved
why
one
we
into
need-
anything.
No.
Seems like that's where you put your weed.
Right? Honestly, that's where you hide your weed.
You could put
Put
your
your
weed
weed
in
in
there. Yeah. No.
I hate this.
Yeah, a vibrator urn.
I hate this.
It feels like desecration.
Doesn't
in
it?
some
I
way.
don't do that to me.
I
does.
feel like that's a crime.
Please
Oh
tell
my
Chris
God.
to not do this to
Oh.
me. Of course, like, I don't know why I need a vibrator, but I don't want this done. I don't want this.
I
don't-
feel
don't
like
want it.
something would be. Who's buying this?
And who's getting like turned on by it? Do you know what I mean?
Who's like, I got a good idea.
Oh.
It's like sexy time. I'm all turned
Oh.
on. Now I'm gonna
I feel like that's you not dealing with your grieving
Sick.
properly. Go see a therapist.
John up.
You,
me.
oh,
Ugh,
no,
I hate
you
this.
need to go see a therapist.
I
If
hate
you
this.
have not dealt with your grieving in a healthy way, which
Here's-
clearly you have not.
You want to hear a weird thing about me with death? So I don't want to be buried. I want to be cremated. But I have a really weird thing about, like, I don't want my ashes separated. Like, I don't mind that you scatter my ashes, but you got to do it
All in one place.
Like, I don't want, like, people who are like,
Oh,
I have a
little
little bit of
here.
grandma here, got a little bit.
Oh,
No,
I don't like that either.
I don't like that. I feel like that. I don't know why.
No, it feels like I feel the same way.
Scatter my
I don't.
ashes together.
I don't want to be. I don't. All in one chunk, please.
One-
I didn't want to be severed in life.
One dump.
I don't want to be. Yeah, one dump. Dump. One and done.
One single dump. Dump and done. Got a dump and done policy.
I saw one thing about the coolest thing, because there seems to be a lot of products now that you can like turn people's ashes into.
Do you want to be a tree?
A tree. I love that.
I want to
a
be a
tree.
tree.
Yeah.
A tree.
But another one I saw is you can get it put onto a record.
Oh, I
It can
think
be
we talked
music.
about this
And
before.
I was like, I actually don't hate that.
But
I
that
feel like
only
we
be
talked about
part
this.
of you. It's weird.
She doesn't
No.
have the same issue with
I don't know.
splitting up the
Maybe
ashes.
I was like Egyptian in my past life and feel like I have to go all together. or
No, I'm-
something,
I'm
you know?
with
I don't
you on-
know. I don't-
I'm-
It's like, where's that come from?
I'm with you on that. I don't know. I'm very weird about like the death conversation because my family, I feel like it usually runs in families where you're like, you're either buriers or you're cremators. And like my family were buriers. They've all been buried. And like, I get that, but I have this weird thing about like taking up space
Yes,
that I feel like
me.
I don't need to take up.
That's me.
And
I'm so glad Chris and I both agree on this, and we're both on the same page.
but I also feel weird about being cremated. I don't know. I like the idea of
This is the darkest.
I like the
fucking
idea of
conversation.
being a tree because I feel like you're providing
You're giving back
something,
to the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you can still but you know, I also feel like I would only want to really be a tree if my family had property that was like in the family. I don't want to be sold to like a stranger and then end
Right,
up
or
like
made into like paper.
yeah, get chopped down.
Right.
Someone put a plaque on it so they know I'm there.
Right,
like,
right,
you
right.
know?
This redwood is very precious.
This is Keegan. Keegan 2.0.
Yeah, but yeah, for the love of God, please don't put me in a
Here
vibrator.
sprouts Keegan.
Yeah.
Don't pack 21 grams of me
Nah.
into a vibrator.
Definitely fucking not. I hate that this is even a thing.
Oh my God.
I immediately try to block it out of my brain and go somewhere else with it. 'cause I
Yeah,
can't.
yeah. We moved right on.
Yeah.
Moving right along.
Like a fucking freight train. Let's get out of this conversation.
Yeah, no
Oh,
shit.
wow. Yikes.
Oh, we've got new patrons.
We do. And first of all,
And one of our new tiers is not going to be a glass dildo.
Oh yeah,
God, thank
no,
God.
sorry. Yeah, good way
It's
to
not-
fold that into the conversation.
Not in our merch right now.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Hey, there's
We got some shout outs from people that we missed last time.
yes.
Leah Redding,
Yes.
who we love, and I can't believe we missed.
I feel like I feel like we'd
I mean, I feel like we talked to her so much
Yeah.
on the Facebook group that I'm like, how did we miss?
Yeah, and we
how?
met her because she came
Yeah.
to our
Yeah.
live show. So I
Yeah,
think
I
maybe our
know.
brains just filled in that
They
we
were like,
must
oh, yeah,
have
we must have because we
given
know
her a
you.
shout out. Yeah. So we're so sorry that we missed you. And then also it came to our attention that we missed Caitlin Dawkins as well. And
Caitlin.
we are so sorry. It was certainly not intentional on our part at all. We need to develop
We're
a
the worst.
better system for making sure that everybody gets their shout out.
If you're missing a shout out, DM us.
Please
and
let us know. Yeah.
that is not intentional.
We're making an Excel sheet. We have a business now. We're gonna be
We got an LLC.
super business women now.
Yes, we're going to be more organized. We promise.
Sounds like stuff I say to myself on New Year's Day. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be
This year's gonna be
2020 is the year.
2020 is the year.
Yes. So yes, we want to give a shout out to Leah and Caitlin. Thank you so much for your continued support. It really does mean so much to us, and we appreciate it so much.
And for hanging out with us on Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we have 2 new patrons, one of whom you guys may have heard on this podcast because she hung out with us during a recording once, and that is our friend Amy.
Friend of the pod.
Amy, friend of the pod, friend of us in IRL.
Yes.
So we love you so much. She was one of the very first people to buy our merch. She's a great, wonderfully supportive friend who I'm so happy to have in my life.
Yes.
She's my maid of honor, my matron of honor.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Amy is somebody that I'm like, if I could ever shrink people down and just put them in my pocket, I want to pocket Amy so
She's-
bad.
Honestly, I wish one of us had a rap career because she would be the best hype woman.
Oh my God,
ever.
are you kidding?
Put a giant clock on her because amazing.
She is flavor
Yes.
Aim.
Mhm. And then also Drea Monzon, who I did a show with a while ago, Andrea, and she came to our live show as well.
Oh, okay.
She is awesome. She is so cool. You guys should follow her on Instagram. Let me give her Instagram handle a shout out, actually. Oh yeah, it's just Drea_Monzon. She is one of the most stylish, cool people I've ever seen. She always looks
Wow, I'm right here.
wow, oh my God.
With not a lick of makeup on. My hair looks like a garbage pail kid.
Excuse me. Yeah, she's just beautiful and fun and wonderful, and I'm so happy that she has joined our Patreon family.
Yay.
So thank you
And
so
we just
much.
did a Patreon. Well, it'll be going up soon. We just did Sleeping with the Enemy for our Crazy in
Fucking
Love
brilliant.
movie.
It
Whoa.
should be up by the time this episode comes out. So
Wee
if you are
woo,
at a
wee wow.
if you are at a $5 or above level on Patreon, you can go listen to that right now.
It was a doozy.
Ooh, Sleeping with the Enemy. So much hair.
Sleeping with a mustache.
So much hair. Sleeping with chest hair. Sleeping with a mullet.
Ugh,
It's a lot.
it's a lot
It's
of
a
hair.
lot.
Yeah.
Brought to you by hair.
I know.
For FMK, we got a brilliant fucking suggestion. That picture is perfection.
It's a rock formation.
It is a rock formation.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to deep dive into this. Okay, so
Mount
fuck,
Rushmore
Mary,
over here.
kill,
Mm-hmm.
Chris Rock, The Rock, Kid Rock.
Oh,
Well, I
well.
think we all know.
Do we though?
You know what? I met a girl once who was very proud to say that she had fucked Kid Rock. And I was like, honey,
honey.
no. She said that she had fucked Kid Rock and Snoop Dogg. And I was like, I don't know.
I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like Kid Rock.
The only person that
That Dr. Phil thing is all I see now. The meme that goes around, it's like, why does Kid Rock look like Dr. Phil dressed as Kid Rock?
The only person, like, I met a girl once that bragged to me about, like, fucking Puff Daddy, P Diddy.
Okay,
whatever.
I like P
Just,
Diddy.
like,
It's enough.
but yeah,
I feel like
apparently
I feel like he'd be a selfish lover. I don't dislike him. I just feel like he'd be not appreciative.
Yeah,
at all.
I stand P Diddy, but I love. It goes to my Junior Mafia days.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, we're okay. So we're all gonna kill Kid Rock.
Yeah,
that's not.
Yeah,
I
think that's
surprising
yeah.
part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I
think now it's like
he looks like he smells like lake water.
Lake, goddamn Lake Erie.
I don't like that.
Lake water.
You know,
That's exactly right.
Mhm.
Oh God, and he just has that like old cigarette mouth. You know.
Yeah, there are ashtrays right next to the bed.
Yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
100.
God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like he maybe has a flag hanging in front of
100.
his window instead of blinds or curtains.
Oh my God, 100%.
You know? Yeah, that's the situation happening there, and I don't like it. I don't like it one
And
bit.
and towels in his bedroom.
Although I will always sing that Sheryl Crow Kid Rock picture
We have
duet
to.
at karaoke.
Of course.
I'll do that 100% of the time. But
But
yeah,
yeah.
no, I'm gonna kill him in this
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. Okay. So then you
All
got
right.
The Rock and Chris Rock.
okay,
This one's actually
that's hard. Actually,
Who are
for
you
me.
gonna marry? Who are you gonna? Who are you gonna fuck?
God, you
Did
know what?
Chris Rock just get divorced?
You know what? Here's
He's
my
been
hot
married
take.
forever.
And you guys know how much I love The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Like real hard.
Yeah.
And in many situations, I would marry The Rock. But I think in this situation, I can't even believe I'm saying it, but I fucking love Chris Rock. And I'm going to marry Chris Rock, and I'm going to fuck the face off of
Fuck the face off.
the
Dwayne
face.
Johnson.
I'm gonna fuck your face right off.
Fuck your face right off.
I don't think that that's a bad take at all, actually. There is something about Chris Rock that I'm like, I feel like it would be kind of fun to marry him.
So funny.
Yeah, and I feel like he would grill you like a good rack of ribs, and he would make his own barbecue sauce.
Yeah, he
and he
would.
would crack jokes the whole time.
The
So
thing
funny.
that gets me about Chris Rock, did you see that documentary Good Hair? Like
Yes.
he made
Yes.
that documentary specifically because of
His
what his daughters had to go through,
And
and
you
I
know
just
what?
think that that's so
Bless
fucking
you.
sensitive
A lot
and
of-
amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people had weird takes about that documentary.
I thought it
but
was
I watched it,
amazing.
and as somebody who like struggled with my hair identity, it actually was great. I actually was so happy that somebody was finally talking about this. I feel like it was the first time we had like an open dialogue about
Right.
like what that's actually like
Yeah.
for Black women. It was great.
It was
I was happy.
brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's so well done. And his
So I am going to marry Chris Rock as well because I also just feel like day-to-day conversation with Chris Rock, he seems like somebody that is extremely intelligent, and I just feel like
super down to earth.
super down to earth.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that could be like really stimulating conversations. I'm more like mentally attracted to Chris Rock, and I think that
Same.
that's gonna get me
um,
going more than the Rock.
I think we're all on the same
Oh.
page actually,
Oh.
because I really, really like The Rock.
He seems so
he
nice.
seems nice. He seems funny.
He seems like a good
Yes.
parent.
Yeah.
He seems like very giving.
He seems like a
and-
good husband.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He seems like a great guy.
We know he goes down because he's
Yep.
made that comment
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
So I actually really, really like The Rock. It's
Do you know
nothing
how
about that.
fucking tall. What a beast of a fucking human he is.
Oh, he
man.
could throw you around, bend you in
I
half.
know.
Yeah, that night that we're fucking, is gonna be
I'm
Great.
gonna fuck his face off.
Right off.
memorable.
Face off.
Remember that movie?
Yes,
Face Off?
exactly.
That's our sex life.
So yeah, I absolutely love The Rock. I don't think you can go wrong if you were to choose to marry The Rock. I do think that there is like a comfortability about Chris Rock that I just feel like it would be cozier. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like, and also you don't have all these ladies trying to get with your man constantly like you would with The Rock. Right? Be like
Well,
always
I
on
wouldn't worry
guard.
about
You'd be
that.
like, back up.
Yeah.
Back up.
No.
Back up.
I don't worry about that. I feel like I feel like The Rock is a loyal person.
He
Yeah,
seems
Like,
like
I'm worried
it.
about these bitches.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. I'm not worried about him. I just feel like it would get old to constantly have people, be in your shit all the time. Whereas like with Chris Rock, you can come out, you can do your thing, you can, go watch Madagascar 15 or whichever one he is
15.
he is voicing.
Yeah.
And then you can go back to your really nice house far away from people and it'll be great.
Yeah.
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 I'm here for this. I like it.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good one.
And we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
was
like it.
I was expecting.
One of us to pick The Rock to marry.
Yeah. You thought it was going to be me. Don't lie.
I did. I did.
He's
I
a
know.
hot man.
He's a very hot man,
He's a
but I
very
agree with
good-looking
Christina.
man.
Like that, there's some brains, real brains on Brad there.
Look at the big brain on Brad.
And then you have The Rock, who is hanging brain.
Yeah, he does. If you know what I mean.
You got the brains in your head and the brains in your jeans. He's got
got
big
the gene brains?
He's got gene brains.
The
for
brains
sure.
in your fanny pack. That picture is the
That
best.
picture.
Oh my God, that turtleneck.
Oh my God! Speaking of, did you see Kevin Hart?
Yes,
dressed as that?
amazing.
Oh,
Perfect.
my God, it was so perfect.
You know what? I just want to have money just so I can do Halloween the way that these people are doing Halloween.
Right.
Like
That's it.
That's what I want.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all I want in life.
I want to be able to afford a good lace wig for one night.
Yeah.
Just for one night.
If you had money, you'd be like Heidi Klum.
Oh my God, I would go
She
so
goes
ham. Oh yeah.
so ham for
Yeah.
Halloween.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm
I love
hiring
that.
someone to do prosthetics. We're doing the whole fucking shebang.
Christian
Okay.
Siriano is gonna make my dress from scratch.
Scritch scratch.
Yeah, that kind of disposable income is actually a little like scary.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know.
Someday, go buy T-shirts. we want prosthetics. We want celebrity Halloween.
Oh my God, I loved it that one of our patrons, she bought a shirt and a phone case and she took a picture of the phone case today and she tagged Christina in it and she's like, put a
called me
case on your phone.
Girl, but for real.
But honestly,
okay,
every time I look
okay.
at my cracked ass screen, I'm
I
like,
know.
Christina, don't be me.
I know.
How did it look? Did it look good?
Oh, it
Which
looks
one did
great.
she get?
It looked. She got the Who Raised You phone
the
case.
one that I want.
love that.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Yeah.
And we will be introducing a new design here soon.
So excited.
Yeah. Before Black Friday, we'll be introducing a new design. So stay tuned for that in our merch shop.
Yeah. Well, you guys want to take 5 and we'll come back with stories?
Sounds good.
And we're back.
Hey. All right. I'm going first. This is
Are you?
not very long. Yeah.
Is it your Crazy in Love?
Yeah.
Oh, why did
Yeah.
I think it was your? I'm so confused.
No, mine's next week.
It's mine. It's mine.
Well, you said you didn't bring notes. Oh, it was for the okay. I'm here now. I'm back.
Welcome back. Okay. So I got this one off of Reddit. So this was my second Tinder date ever. And there were others that were definitely worse, which I might post later. But this one was just weird. We'd spoken a little beforehand to get to know each other, but honestly, it was pretty brief, and we just decided it would be easier to get a drink and do the whole get to know you thing in person. I've done that, but yeah, you definitely, you got to vet or you're going to end up in situations like this. And there's just know that ahead of time. I didn't get serial killer vibes when we arranged to go to a pub I knew quite well, so I was comfortable. No indication anything weird was on the cards. So Troy turns up, good looking guy, great smile, and I'm down for a nice evening. I arrived a bit early, so I've already got a drink. We say hi, and then the first one hits. Troy's going to get a drink. Do you want anything?
No. Wait.
It took me a moment to process. And then I laughed a little because I figured it was just a bit he was doing or something, and I'd missed the lead in. Oh, how wrong I was. This went on for 2 goddamn hours before I finally managed to excuse myself.
So time out. Wait, he called himself by his fucking own name?
Yeah, I felt bad because he genuinely seemed nice, but my God, it drove me up the wall.
Oh, I hate this.
Troy works at a law firm. Troy knew this guy in school. Who
There's no level of nice.
Troy's
that
gonna use
could
the
get
toilet.
beyond.
Cassie hates
Absolutely
this.
fucking not. No. No.
Cassie hates this, and Cassie is only doing the rest of the podcast in this.
Absolutely not, Cassie. I'm going to put the kibosh on that right
hates it.
now.
Starts doing that, and then
And how and why and who didn't put a stop to that?
So many questions.
I don't understand. You don't have one assertive person in your life who's like, no,
Don't do that.
We're not doing that anymore.
we're not doing
That's enough.
Oh my God. I wanted to turn around and say, what is going on? Are you not Troy? Have I gone insane? But I didn't want to be rude, so I just left it and waited for it out.
It's like that episode of Seinfeld. That happens on that episode of Seinfeld where he is referring to himself in the third person, and so she thinks that he's hooking her up with somebody else. and then she's like, "Oh no, you're Bobby," or whatever the fuck his name was. No, it's too much confusion. We don't speak this way.
No.
I hate it.
Yeah, you're a human.
When we left to go our separate ways, he didn't push it, and I certainly wasn't gunning for a second date, so we hugged awkwardly, and then we both went home. It was just straight weird. Still to this day, I don't understand it. How does someone pick up an affectation like that? The only thing I can think of was it was some kind of challenge or dare, a date where you only speak in third person and see how quickly the other person leaves or calls you out on it. But if that's so, Troy has some serious skill because that dude did not falter once.
Wow. I hate it.
Oh my God. I hope.
So weird.
My patience level is so low at this point in my life. Like it is, my patience meter is like so low. I just don't think I could. I think I'd leave. Like as soon as he was like, Troy needs to go use the bathroom, it'd be like, I'm goodbye.
I would kind of laugh and I'd be like, why are you doing that? Like that's how I would.
Yes.
Like, why are you doing that? That's weird.
I don't like it. Well, this one is another story from our girl at the Single Society.
Yes.
Yeah, I love this one. Okay, it says, all right. I messaged Paul soon after we matched on Bumble because I can never quite seem to resist a blonde Herculean gentleman, complete with a healthy beard and an Adonis-like figure. Clearly, I
is
have
he
a type.
Hercules? Yeah, like that's what that sounds like.
Right. She's like, clearly I have a type. It's Thor.
Yeah.
Oh,
There you go.
okay. Yeah, there you go.
Paul wasted no time in replying, and before I knew it, we had set a date for the following Wednesday to have dinner at a swanky new restaurant called the Upland in Gramercy District of New York City.
Sounds nice.
When I arrived at the restaurant, Paul was patiently waiting for me near the hostess stand, and I was pleased to discover that his appearance had exceeded my expectations. He was just as delectable looking in the flesh as on my iPhone screen.
I'm getting heated.
Once
know.
again,
Over here.
talking about like my lack of self-worth, I'd be like, something's wrong. Immediately, I'd be like, I don't trust this at all.
Paul and I were seated at a table that was in a slightly awkward position, smack in the middle of the restaurant. Oh, I hate that.
Oh, I don't like that. And people
I hate
are
that.
going
I feel like
by
you're on
on
display.
They're banging your elbows when they're walking by. I don't like it.
He mentioned that he would like to ask to sit at another table, but given the fact that the restaurant was at full capacity with a line out the door, we just decided our table would do just fine. After sipping on some stiff Manhattans and pisco sours, we put in an order in for salmon tartare, hummus crostini, and a pear,
Oh, now
and
I'm
endive
hungry.
salad, followed by a beef short rib. I'm like,
That shit sounds.
this is like so descriptive.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like I'm here.
I'm tasting that pear.
That we decided to split with a side of ratatouille. This, first of all, this place sounds amazing.
I know, exactly.
Ratatouille sounds
Amazing.
so
This
good
Yelp
right now.
review is fantastic.
I'm
Right.
like, my
This is
mouth is
actually
like filling with saliva. I'm like, oh.
Though Paul seemed to be a lovely human being, especially to look at, I didn't sense that there was much going on between the ears. As we began to discuss the movies we had recently viewed, I said, last week I watched a really good movie called Frost Nixon about the Watergate scandals. I said, yeah, oh, I don't know what that is, he replied, puzzled.
The Watergate scandal?
You know, the whole thing that caused President Nixon to leave office? Not sure what you're referring to.
You know, I do feel sometimes that being very good looking is a handicap.
Yeah.
Like somebody, like they've just like cut you off at the knees because like it's like that episode of 30 Rock with the Bubble with John Hamm, where it's just like everyone just treats you differently because you're really, really ridiculously good looking.
Yeah.
Because how do you make it to an
that's the reason
adult?
why we're all gonna fuck The Rock, but we married Chris Rock.
That's right.
See,
So,
you know,
see, it's so true. But I don't think The Rock is dumb. So
I don't think he's dumb either. But
I mean, I'm sure he knows what Watergate is, but
let's hope. Despite his blatant ignorance for American history, the dinner was lovely as well as the company. Though I wasn't completely head over heels for Paul at that particular moment, he asked me to join him again for drinks the following weekend, and I thought it was worth another shot. Paul paid the bill and, like a gentleman, assisted me in putting on my jacket.
Oh,
so
okay,
nice. Super nice. Immediately after we exited the restaurant to get into a taxi, our waitress came running out after us, shouting Paul's name with the billfold in hand. Paul seemed to scurry into the cab, but thinking he forgot his credit card or to sign the bill, I waited outside the car to see what the fuss was about.
No.
The sweet and very attractive waitress looked rather perturbed as she held up the credit card receipt and leaned into the car to speak to Paul. You know, Mr. Paul, I'm very sorry that you weren't satisfied with the table you were given, but if you were that upset about it, you could have just asked the hostess to be moved.
He didn't tip.
I do not have any say on where people are seated in the restaurant, so punishing me for it isn't fair. I hope you have a wonderful evening. She handed me the credit card receipt and indignantly marched back to work. I can't believe, first of all, good for you.
Good for her.
I mean, as someone that has waited tables and I've always had a fantasy of like confronting people that stiff you.
Well, she works in probably a very busy restaurant in New York. She probably sees this shit all the time. And at some point, I think you just like don't give a fuck. Yeah.
She said, so confused, I read the receipt and then figured out the reason for her outright fury. On the line where the tip should have been was a big fat 0. And next to it, Paul had written, service was great, but we had the worst table in the house.
Oh my God. What a piece of shit person.
I retreated back into the restaurant and left the waitress $30 in cash. She graciously thanked me for the tip, and I thanked her for tipping me off that Paul was a complete asshole. Thankfully, the taxi had left by the time I returned.
Women supporting women. Can I get a shout out? Oh my God. Like, I fucking hate that. Like, okay, boomer. For real. Like that's such a move where it's just like one thing about this situation upset me, and so I'm going to withhold, especially at an expensive ass restaurant like that. Look, it's not a perfect system. We know that the system is flawed and fucked up, but because the system is flawed, we need to tip because they're not making a living wage. That's
how it is.
And
and honestly, like if I even get a sniff of rudeness or like entitlement or condescension towards like wait staff or
we're done.
We're so done.
And if you had
such a turn off,
expensive ass meal, so you know that fucking like bill was expensive. You get a meal like that and you don't tip at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a
dick.
Yeah. Okie dokie. So this is from someone, again, in our Facebook group, and she put this on there, and I tagged you guys in it. And I was like, don't read it.
I didn't. I can't wait.
She is great. She is so funny. And yes, okay, here we go.
Oh, I'm excited.
I am too. I've been holding out because I'm like, it's so hard because then we get notifications.
I know.
So I'm like, oh, this is the post. I can't look at it.
Don't look. She said, this story is for the new moms out there who might be able to relate. My daughter's father and I were not together at the time she was born. We had been struggling in our relationship for the duration of the pregnancy, and I had moved out. About 3 weeks after she was born, we decided to give our relationship another go and see if we could work things out and be a family. Yes, in hindsight, this was a terrible idea. However, we are on good terms and co-parent well together.
Hooray for good co-parenting.
Yes,
I love this.
Amen. Her father asked me to meet him at the Olive Garden, and we had a lunch date and talked about some things.
Now I really am hungry.
I want some breadsticks, bad.
Salad and breadsticks.
God, that fucking salad dressing.
That salad dressing
one
is
of
good.
The happiest days in my fucking life was knowing that they sell Olive Garden salad dressing.
Oh yeah, they sell it at the
grocery store.
Yes, and you know what? I have to say, like, look,
it just doesn't seem right though. Like it doesn't seem.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
There's something about that, like trash iceberg lettuce.
Oh yeah, it's garbage, but delicious.
The way the Parmesan cheese, that specific
spirals
grater,
out of the grater,
and the pepperoncinis and the olive,
and you have to dip your breadstick into the sauce, into the dressing. And I will say I'm completely well aware that Olive Garden is trash Italian food. I know it's not real Italian food by any means.
I don't go there for their Italian food. I go there strictly for their salad. I don't like their food. Otherwise.
I don't even mind it. I know what I'm getting when I go there. Right. I know what's happening, and I'm okay with it. That's why I'm there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's why.
Don't bother me.
Yeah, don't just leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
First of all,
I like Olive Garden.
I want the trip
my
around.
name is Christina.
Yeah, I want the trip around Italy where they give me like a little bit, the tour of Italy where there's like a little bit of 3 different entrees and then unlimited salad and breadsticks. Okay, that's what I'm here for.
Yes.
Anyway, so now that we've established that,
I'm allergic to dairy, so I don't like that place.
And that's everything is covered in cheese.
Everything is covered in cheese.
Yes,
everything is cream based. That's actually tastes good.
Yeah.
So if you want something that's not cream based, it actually doesn't taste good.
And
so
they volunteer to put cheese on anything, which I gladly accept.
Yes.
Like if
I love cheese, and I will eat cheese. That I'm fine with.
If you have a soup, they're like, do you want some grated Parmesan in your minestrone? And I'm like, yes, I do. I 100% do. Put a pile of it on there. Just go
I didn't
ham.
tell you to stop.
Yeah. Go to town. Okay. Her father asked me to meet him at the Olive Garden and have lunch and talk about some things. The date itself was lovely. We had food, we talked about things that were bothering us, and we were starting to make amends. I lived 45 minutes from the Olive Garden we went to. We started the drive back to my house. We decided to spend the rest of the day together, and about 15 minutes from my house, it began. The rumbling in my stomach. You know what I'm talking about. When you've had too much garlic, I started to beg, please, oh, please let me make it home to the bathroom. Oh, no. I will never swear again. I promise.
No.
I was in denial. No, this is not happening right now. It's just not. I got angry. God damn it. Why did this have to happen right now? No. I got sad. Oh my God. I'm going to shit my pants in my new car with my new baby in the back.
Oh no.
I finally reached acceptance. Well, this is happening. I almost made it. Nearly. I got to the stoplight around the corner and my bowels evacuated everything.
Oh.
This whole time, I didn't tell him what was going on.
Oh,
the smell hit him like shit being tossed through a fan.
Oh.
You imagine you're just like, oh, I like this song on the car. And then you're like, what the fuck?
The baby really did a number.
You're like, yeah, the baby's terribly ill. The baby. He looked at me and could see the horror on my face and started laughing, which made me laugh, which made the situation worse because every time I laughed, more would come out.
I hate this story.
Oh my
I will always love my daughter's father for running inside and starting the shower and grabbing our baby who had woke up and started screeching, probably from the smell, let's be honest. To this day, we don't talk about it, but never again did we ever venture to the Olive Garden. I still, to this day, haven't eaten there. It's been 14 years.
Wow.
God.
After we put our full stamp of approval on the Olive Garden.
I love Olive Garden.
Well, yeah.
Oh my
God. I just remember reading that, and it's just like, it's so true. The bargaining that happens when you're in a situation like that, and you're like,
have you guys ever shit your pants?
No.
I haven't, but I did get dangerously close.
I got
once.
dangerously close.
Like I was driving. It was the same situation. I'm like looking at the ETA on my Google Maps, like,
and you get like hot cold.
Oh God, sweating.
Yeah.
And I was so flustered when this happened to me because it never happened to me before. Where I was like,
I've peed my
have
pants.
to go home. I've never done either, but I've been
my pants
close
because I've laughed or like sneezed too hard or
sure, like a little comes out or something.
Yeah. Puking, that's
but
the one because it's like a full body retch.
I had never experienced like the almost shitting your pants sensation, and I was driving, And I was like, I just have to get home. And you're doing that bargaining where you're like, God, please just let me get home. Just let me get home. And then I was so flustered that I turned the wrong way, which just added like an extra 2 minutes to my like arrival time. But that 2 minutes is crucial when you're in a situation like that.
Yeah. You feel like fucking Jack Bauer or something. It's like, ding, ding, ding. He's counting down. Oh my God.
But thank God, yeah, it's never happened to me. But
I almost did, and this was when I gave up dairy. Well, cream dairy.
Mm-hmm.
I had known that I couldn't do much like milk, like cheese. I can always do. Anything hard, like a hard cheese or something, I'm fine with. I can do cheese. I cannot do cream. I cannot do yogurt. I cannot do like
a loose
like
dairy
milk.
situation.
Yep.
Yeah,
Loose dairy is a loose in and loose out. And
God.
it is, dude. We went to. This was I was with Chris, and we were met up with Gabe to go to this restaurant.
Yeah.
Explorers Club.
Okay.
And they had like a shrimp, like shrimp and grits kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was made with cream, which I didn't know. I ordered it not knowing, and I didn't even think about it.
Oh no.
We were
You're like, this
on
is delicious.
This is so
why
good.
is this so good?
Murdered it on the way home, back ass country road, and I was like, and it hit me, and I was like, Chris, we may have to fucking pull
You're
over.
like, I have to shit right now.
Like right
Right
now.
now.
And I'm crying. And I'm like, Chris is starting to pull over. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, just go. And he's like, you said, I'm
confused.
I don't know.
How can I help you right now?
Oh, shit.
Oh my
It was
God.
horrible.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I actually dude face that I used to be married with was like, you need to get checked out because I poop like maybe like once every 3 days. I've always been like that.
Yeah.
And
you should, I mean, they tell you should poop at least once a day. But
Yeah.
what a weird conversation.
Wow.
But
this is very
You
strange.
started
Yeah.
it.
like, listen.
Olive Garden started it.
Well, yeah, maybe I need to eat more Olive Garden. Maybe that's
Oh my
that's
God.
it.
don't
You don't want emergency shits.
don't put that image of Olive Garden in my head
I
for
know.
me. It's sad.
Were you guys ready for crazy?
I'm
am.
so ready.
Well, I told you I went back and forth so much this week until I finally landed on something. And I picked it. The story itself is it's rather kind of on the shorter side, but it's probably one of the most horrific things I can think of.
Holy shit.
So it really kind of was like, oh, this really shook me. So I'm going to share it. So
Oh my God.
yeah, wow.
So prepare to be shook.
Fairly recent, and I don't know if you guys know this one because it's kind of obscure. I think there was a Dateline on it. I got most of mine from like random Grimes County newspaper stuff, like Des Moines Register, Des Moines. So
Love those local newspapers.
Me
Yes.
too. Oh my God. I love it.
okay, so Angie Van Huel was a math teacher in her hometown of Waukee. It's spell it like you say it. I'm Waukee.
If you guys,
like
if
Waukee.
one of our
Like
listeners,
Milwaukee,
if one of
right?
our listeners know, feel free
Yeah.
to
I
write
mean,
in
it's
phonetically.
It's the back half of Milwaukee, basically.
Right. Yeah. When and it's in Iowa. So she's single. She's, in her 20s. She's single. She's going on dates with people, but just a nice, normal math teacher, sweet. She's really cute looking. But in the summer of 2013, she matches and meets this guy, Justin Michael. And
Justin Michael, 2 first names.
Yes.
Red flag.
she says there was an instant attraction. And after her third date, she texted her friend and said, I'm pretty sure I'm going to marry this guy. And they talk about it. And I have this theory that this is going to be super nerdy. I'm going to say it anyways. But that whole, like, if time is a place and not like a forward moving thing that we have. So everything that has happened and will happen is happening. Do you ever think that when you meet somebody and you feel that instant connection, like that real instant connection, it's because you know them for like in the future, like you're sensing that futureness because it's all there already.
I never have thought that, but I
get it.
But I get it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I'm like, I had that with.
I always assume it's past life stuff, which is way weirder than what you just said. So
I had that feeling with Handyman, like that instant. And it's
Like you're gonna be
different
part
from
of my life.
attraction. It's just like,
It is different from attraction because it can also happen with friendships.
Yeah,
Like
where
you
you're
can
just
meet
like-
someone where, because I'm somebody who is like, I always want to fill an empty silence. I always want to be talking to people. Like if I never want there to be like an uncomfortability, and I'm always scared of having uncomfortability with people I don't know. So I know if I can meet someone and feel immediately at ease,
Yeah.
that I'm like, oh yeah, it's like a soul connection. It's so
Right.
and it's not necessarily romantic. It's just like a thing that can happen with people.
and I think that's beautiful. Like
we've talked about this when we talked about soulmates. Soulmates can be people who are your romantic interests, but they can also be friends.
Yeah. So let's talk about Justin Michael. He has been described as one of life's givers. He was 30 years old, a keen outdoorsman, an adventurer, a gardener, and a volleyball player. He was a graduate of Iowa State. He had a degree in public service and administration. And after having accompanied his father on a mission trip to Egypt, he was passionate about community service. So he subsequently volunteered for Habitat for Humanity.
Wow.
You see his pictures. He's just like, he's
baby.
like a good
I
person.
regret saying a red flag about your
know.
two first names, Justin
I know.
Michael. I'm
I
sorry.
thought it too. And I mean, he worked at Wells Fargo. He was like, helped out with like loans and everything.
He
and
sounds like someone I would know. Like Iowa. I picture this. He's like a
know this
Midwest good guy.
Yeah.
Like not nice guy TM, like good guy.
a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Where he's just like solid dude. He's just super solid.
You want to help people because like you want to help them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I hope
So
he's not the murderer.
Oh my God, please. I can't keep flip-flopping on Justin Michael.
So she knew it like right after like a couple dates. So she had been casually like dating a few other people. Like I'm like, get it, girl. Same. When things
Yeah, you're not
progress-
exclusive.
Yeah, when things progress, when you're like, oh no, I actually feel a connection with this. I gotta let everybody else, all the other people orbiting, like, hey, had a good time, but I'm
been
kind
real,
of
but
kind
bye-bye.
of dating other people now. So she does that. She's like, does her text round and is like, I'm seeing somebody now. So after whirlwind romance, they went skydiving. They're just like dating exclusively. 2 months into their relationship, Justin proposes and she accepts. They planned on a fairly long engagement with a big family wedding to follow by the sea. And like everybody at work was super, super excited. They're like, you're getting married. This is awesome. They have like a cake in the conference room of the bank.
That's the most.
Yeah.
And everybody's congratulating them.
2 months. I can't
But
2
there's
months.
one guy at the bank who sits in his cubicle and seethes. Very upset
I think I know this story. Okay.
because he had just recently gotten a text.
Yes.
From
Angie. Yeah.
They have been like hooking up and dating for a while. And she's like, yeah, I met somebody really great. So sorry. And he just seethes.
Didn't really
Didn't sit well.
Got it.
This story's bananas.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
This coworker was David Moffitt, and he was quietly dying inside. He's a 26-year-old accounting graduate. He worked in the same department as Justin. And
She's small.
Fucking awkward.
yeah, so apparently getting dumped by text message after kind of casually seeing each other for 3 months was a trigger for this dude.
Well, I mean, it is kind of like it would seem weird. Like if you were dating somebody for 3 months and then they started
brush
seeing
off.
someone and were engaged
Like immediately.
like what if you were not defending this guy at all, like
Okay.
I know where
Okay.
this story is going.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
defending him at all,
Yeah.
but like if you were dating somebody
Right.
for 3 months and then they broke up with you
via text,
and you worked with someone who they got engaged to,
It'd be rough.
it would be weird.
It'd be real
wouldn't it?
rough.
It'd be
Even
weird.
if you were dating, because that's the thing. Like dating is such a weird term.
It
and
is.
It
It's
means
true.
so many, and it can be confusing because what she may have thought of was just like casually
Casual.
going out on dates and not like exclusive, may have been like we're dating.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
this
'Cause
is-
it's like
it
how
is-
much stank are you putting on that word?
It's why
Are you
it's
dating
important
or are you
to
dating?
establish your boundaries.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
establish where you're at.
Yeah.
Ooh, yikes.
Yikes. So the engagement deeply unsettled David. In January of 2014, so this is like only like 6 months later, he complained to his therapist about having murderous thoughts. So the therapist is like, here's some pills. You can take some pills, but doesn't do anything else. And he stops really going to the therapist. And I'm like, don't you have to report something like that? If someone's like, I'm feeling
If you
soups
truly-
murdery.
Believe that they are a danger to themselves or others. I believe you have an obligation to report.
Right.
But I don't know. Where's the line between truly believing it and just thinking that this is somebody who needs
Yeah.
therapy?
So by April of this year, of 2014, he appeared to conduct a number of bizarre Google searches on his computer, such as how to get away with murder, love triangle murders, fruit,
maybe he really loves that show.
fruit,
Honestly, he's just like, I really like Viola Davis. I don't know.
fruit that resembles the human skull.
What?
Oh, so he's gonna practice at home, put up some fucking like saran wrap, and like,
Don't like it.
And what does hell look like?
oh, that's
Which
not a
is-
healthy brain.
The saddest thing ever. If you're oh my God. I mean, my Google search history is pretty, I mean, it could be really damning if looked
Absolutely.
at. All the
100.
murder stuff that we're
100.
constantly looking at. But what does hell look like? Oh, there's something so sad about
It's
that.
very sad because you're dealing with somebody who truly believes that hell exists and that they could be going there and still want to follow through with whatever they're thinking about doing. Like, isn't that dark?
Oh, so bad. So yeah,
I don't like it.
he ends up quitting his job at Wells Fargo in like February too. Like he can't stand like working. And so he just spends his nights sitting outside of their house, watching and taking notes on their comings and goings.
Is this scary? Like the fact that you could date someone for 3 months and they could be this fixated on you?
This is exactly why it fucking terrifies
Because that's
me.
really scary. I mean, you know, I devil's advocated in the beginning of like, yeah, it would be weird and it would feel weird if that happened to you. But at the same time, if you dated someone for 3 months, you definitely don't expect them to be like
Committed for life.
fixated on you
Yeah.
like that. Like that's fucking
Yeah,
so
I
scary.
don't like that at all. It terrifies me. And she no idea about it. I mean, he sent some like nasty texts back to her on the first text, but then that was it. So
Yeah.
she had no
And unfortunately, that's kind of like par for the course.
right, exactly.
In the dating scene, you're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, you sent me some shitty. Your ego was bruised, and you sent me some shitty
but
messages.
then you expect people to like
Move
move
on.
the fuck on.
Yeah.
And what if they fucking don't? And what if they spend the next few months Googling what does hell look like
Wow.
and sitting outside of your fucking house keeping track of your coming and going? Somehow he also figures out one of her other ex's names. His name's Andrew Wegner. And so he decides, he takes this whole big thing, he makes a fake ID and he purchases a gun under Andrew's name.
No.
Mhm. He is like researched this
Damn.
whole thing.
Son.
This poor woman, I can't even imagine. Like
just
being the
oblivious, like,
center
just-
of this like cyclone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Meanwhile, like everybody, like their families are overjoyed. They're actually like, super excited planning this wedding. And she's like met her dream man. So on May 8th of 2014, they go to bed that night. His mother is actually visiting, like getting ready for Mother's Day, and they're gonna, spend time together. They all settle in for the night. His mother wakes up in the middle of the night to see a silhouette in her door and is like kind of groggy and confused, thinking that maybe it's
Ghost.
yeah.
That's what I would think.
Yeah,
Ghost.
obviously. So, like,
Ghost.
do you
Clearly
have
it's
feet
ghost.
or are you hovering?
Yeah, she thinks it's one of the kids until like she sees like a red light or whatever. But she's like disoriented, and then she hears pop, 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 pop in the next room. And she hears the girl screaming. So basically, what has happened is someone has broken into the house and shot Justin. Shot him dead in the head, in the neck, and in the torso. And he's dead. Didn't hurt, touch Angie or anyone else. Unplugged and moved a DVD player. They think to make it look like a burglary.
Okay.
And then just like bounced. So police obviously respond to this and are like, I mean, this is a huge deal. But an off-duty police officer around 5 or 6 miles away runs into somebody that's had a really bad traffic accident and has totaled their car in the ditch, so that he helps the guy like get a taxi home. The next day they go and look at the car that's still there and are wrecked, and they see ammunition that matches the ammunition that was at the crime scene, and they see Andrew Wegner's like ID and everything like that. So they were like, but this car is registered. This Ford Taurus belongs to David Moffitt. This is really strange.
Wow.
So they arrest him literally the next day because he got into a car crash, and they're unraveling like, okay, what's going on here? And yeah, so he pretty much, he lawyers up. They go to trial, and he pleads insanity.
Okay.
I remember this being one of the more convoluted Datelines that I watched.
Oh, it was a Dateline.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it was a Dateline. And I remember it being confusing because it was confusing. You have these two ex-boyfriends who are tied to this woman, but
Right.
like you can't, because the guy, it wasn't the thing where like the guy who sold the gun was like, well, this was the ID that was given to me, and
Right.
it's the Wegner, but then
Right.
they have the car of and it was like, so I remember watching it and being like, what's
what?
happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
confusing because they're like, okay, so it obviously wasn't a burglary. Someone wanted Justin dead.
Right.
And like at first the police were like, was he involved in like drugs or like any kind of like illegal
and
activities?
they suspected her as well,
And they-
because
yeah.
she didn't respond the way they expected her to respond.
Mhm.
Like she wasn't as like over the top, I guess, like crying and hysterical, because I remember watching it. Yeah, and so they were like, oh, we think she may have been involved in this, and yeah. I remember that.
So then they finally, because she was like concerned, because she was like, well, I mean, it was obvious he was the target, and she was like, I've only known him for a couple of months. Like, do I not know this person at all? Like, who would be targeting him? Because she didn't even think that it's.
Why would she?
Why would she?
Yeah.
Think that somebody that she went out with for a few dates last year
Jesus.
went fucking banana sandwich
Jesus.
and killed her fucking fiance in her bed. I'm
With
just like,
her sleeping
with her
next.
sleeping next.
Yeah, and they
And
tried.
her mom in the other room.
Yeah, his mom.
That's why. Yeah.
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 Wow.
Yeah. And I know they used that against her too, where they were like, how did you stay as, because she said like, I was asleep until like she heard and they were like, I don't know. They did a lot of victim blamey shit with her that was really upsetting to me. Yeah.
But so he's trying to plead insanity. That basically like that text like triggered him so much, and he was having these murderous thoughts
For
and
6 months.
He just went crazy.
Okay. Come on.
And it's like, yeah, that's not a defense though. I've been fucking crazy and mad and obsessed for like long periods of time. I didn't get a fake ID,
Right.
and purchase a firearm.
That's exactly
and
right.
Sit outside someone's house night in and night out and plan a premeditate a murder. This is the clearest case.
Yeah.
A murder in the first degree ever.
We've
Ever.
talked about that before, where like, yes, I think we talked about it on a recent episode. It's like we have all done cringy, shame receipt worthy, like being so into someone that it made us insane. And like everyone's experienced that, or most people have experienced that. But that's not the same. Like the definition of like insanity through the law is like you didn't know what you were doing when you did it. So it's typically something that happens in the moment. If you had enough forethought to plan for 6 months, you saw a therapist.
A fake ID.
You got a fake ID. You had the forethought to frame somebody else.
Right.
Like there's just no way. There's no way this was something that happened without
Can we talk about the fact that like the way he got the gun is he saw an ad in the newspaper. Someone's just selling a gun. And so he went with his fake ID, which is, and was able to get a fucking gun like that. That's a problem.
Yikes.
That's a big fuck no. That shouldn't be able to happen.
No, it shouldn't
Also,
be able to happen.
Me, as somebody who's like purchasing a gun, wouldn't I be concerned that somebody just wants to get off,
Well, but
like,
you know what? Like
what crimes are on this bitch?
As three like Midwest girls, it's just like people do that all the time. It's like I don't think that, because they talk to the guy on Dateline, they talk to the guy who sold the gun, and it's obvious that he has remorse for like what happened. But like the Midwest and the South, and like it's just common. Like that. It's so common you would just assume that someone's wanting to buy it for hunting or for practice shooting or for whatever, because people use guns as recreation so often that you just, it wouldn't cross your mind that like this person wants to do crimes with this,
right? But yeah, I just for me, and then he was obviously like, he was found guilty and he's in jail for the rest of his life, and he's appealing it and stuff, and his appeals are still like ongoing. But yeah, to me, like this one just got me, because I think about, I've dated a number of people casually. I have quote unquote broken up with people through text, but I'm like, we weren't, it's just like, hey, this isn't working out anymore, or you just quietly like fade away or what have you. But to think of somebody like that out there that's just like sitting there seething.
Well, obsession is scary. Have you ever had somebody, like either of you, have you ever had somebody who was like obsessed with you?
I do. There is one guy actually right now who I went out on like one date with, and I don't know why I should just like block him. He still texts sporadically, like once a week. And we went out on a date like over a year ago.
Stabler? Is it Stabler? Oh,
yeah. Well,
yeah. No. Yeah, I have a guy. I never even went out on a date with him, and he scared. Like he actually like scares me. Like he kind of scares me, and I still have him on like my social media and things like that, because I'm like, I feel like it would be worse if I were to like cut things off, like, like completely like block this person out of my life,
And there's also something to be said for being like, okay, in some small way I can kind of keep tabs on you.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can keep an eye on what's going on instead of feeling like,
blindsided.
Yeah. I mean, it's scary. Like, that shit's scary. Obsession is very, very scary. It's out of your control.
Imagine like this dude too, like working with him, like I just see him at his cubicle, like angry typing, you know what I mean? While everyone's having cake. Congratulations on your engagement. And he's just like,
what? God, that is so, it's just also, to me, it's so weird. It's like there are fucking 7 billion people on this planet. Why do you need to get fixated on this one person?
Right.
Like it's like there are so many people on this planet.
I mean, it hurts. It hurts to get broken up with, but I'm like, oh man.
But it just means someone else is out there who's like better for you.
Exactly.
That's all that means,
Yeah. So there you go.
Yikes on bikes.
Yikes on bikes. Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oof.
Well, thanks. Thanks for that. We're all like, what a heavy episode. What a weird episode we've had.
I know.
It's like fucking.
Even my thing that I've been watching recently, our kind of postscript that we usually do is Call the Midwife, which I'm fucking in love with.
Call the
But
Midwife.
it's so sad. Like it's
the perfect mixture of like sad tears and happy tears.
Yep.
They do a very good kind of cocktail of like, this episode is going to be tragic sad and you're going to cry about that, and then this episode is going to be joyful like tears, you know. Like it's so good. It is so good. I love that show.
So that's what I've been doing with my week. I am watching backlogged episodes of Call the Midwife.
So
I have to get started. I actually have not watched like anything this week. I've been running around like crazy. I really like, I need a nap. And and something. And I'm all caught up on Schitt's Creek. I rewatched it like again because I was just
so funny.
I just love it.
Oh
so
my God.
much. It's my favorite.
Yes. Oh my God. David is the funniest. I love Moira, but for me, oh my God.
Alexis.
And I love the way Alexis says David's name. David. I'm like, oh my God, I love it. It's so funny. Well, I watched, and I wanted to shout out, I watched Jenny Slate has a special that is like half documentary, half stand-up special.
I want to see that.
I want to see that too. It looked good.
Called Stage Fright. And I will admit, I think she's fucking hilarious. Like on Parks and Rec, I think she's so funny. There are moments with her where I'm like, oh, this seems like a lot. You know, like it seems like a lot. But I loved her in that. I loved getting to see her be vulnerable. I didn't know she had gone through a divorce. And she's very, very vulnerable about like her feelings about what that's like for her and getting past that. And, you know, and
I really want to see this.
It was very good. I loved seeing somebody who is so, I think it's important to be reminded that people who are very like successful and smart and funny still have shit that they're like dealing with and trying to get over. And they're still like very flawed like human beings. So
this is going to sound really stupid, but that's how I felt when I watched the Katy Perry documentary.
No,
because she was going through that with Russell Brand. Like,
I think all of that is very fair. It's like people are people,
right?
And you know, everyone has like their shit, and it is important to be reminded of that. Looping it back to the beginning of this episode, where like we have these inferiority complexes, that it's not an exclusive experience to us. It's a very like normal human experience, you know. So that's really good. You should totally watch Stage Fright. I enjoyed it a lot. And with my ongoing Office versus Parks and Rec debate, I am actually really enjoying The Office now. I've gotten into the groove of it. I'm really enjoying it. I fucking love Stanley. I think Stanley is hilarious. His reactions in The Office are what I feel like that's where my soul was when I was in an office. I was just like, I'm here to get paid. We're running out the clock. That's what we're here for. I think it's funny. But they are very, very, very different shows. Yeah. Like, I love the Office.
Did you see the fire drill episode yet?
Not yet. Oh God, not yet. But I love The Office because it's pushing me out of my comfort zone of like, I'm so cringe averse. Like I fucking hate being stuck in that situation.
That's why I never watched The Office.
But, and The Office is like a bunch of people who you can tell they love each other, but they're mean to each other. And Parks and Rec, it's like a cozy blanket where they're all like friends and it's funny. And you know, so they're different. Yeah. But I love them both.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I love you equally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you've got recommendations for stuff that we should watch, or you've got stories, we're always
send us your stories.
Mm-hmm. Holiday stories, please.
Yes. Oh my God.
Get those holiday stories in.
Yes. Oof. They're my favorite. I went back and reread the one. My favorite is still that dude being in the closet and being discovered.
So funny. Teen stories. I'll take a high school story every day.
Yes.
When I think about holiday stories, I really think about that man who took the wrong lady to his office party, and it was like a disaster. Disaster holiday office parties. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Please.
I am living my life right now, hoping that I get to be the disaster holiday date
No,
that
you
bring.
don't want that at all. The shame receipt of waking up and realizing what you've done.
like, oh,
I would
no.
never
Like,
live
I
it
fucking
down.
destroyed that guy's career.
Yeah, you're like,
shit.
I need to be drunk for the rest of my life now to get over the shame of what just happened here.
Like a lobotomy, please.
Yes. Go to our one-stop shop of a website at myworstdatepodcast.com. We've got merch. We got a Facebook group. We've got a Patreon. We've got so much stuff, and we would just really appreciate you coming and
Hanging out with us.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
This is a Glass Box Media podcast.